In this video, we're going to go over managed WordPress hosting companies. We're going to talk about the various companies. We're going to try to figure out if it's right for you, the pros and the cons of even using managed WordPress hosting. We're going to cover all of that in this video. Hi, my name is Adam from WPCrafter.com, where I make WordPress tutorial videos for non-techies. If you're new here, consider clicking on the subscribe button. And if you want video notifications, click on the little bell and YouTube will let you know when I've uploaded a new video. All right, we're going to go through this one presentation style, and I'm going to try to move through it all pretty quick. All right, so first of all, I want to go over what to expect in this video. My goal for you is to know by the end of this video if managed WordPress hosting is right for you. I want you to know exactly how it works, all the pros and the cons, all of that, covering it all in this video. And I want you to know how to choose the right managed WordPress hosting company. There's really just two kind of flavors, and most companies are pretty much going to give you the same performance. We're going to go over that in this video. So first of all, what the heck is this managed WordPress hosting? So it's actually not a concept that's been around a long time. Essentially, web hosts got really smart. They said, you know, a lot of people are using this thing called WordPress, so why don't we cater to WordPress users? Why don't we set up a hosting environment catering to the performance needs of WordPress-based websites? Fine-tune everything for WordPress, and in doing that, they kind of flipped the whole model of hosting upside down. They came up with new ways of pricing for hosting, and that's essentially what managed WordPress hosting is. You definitely will get higher levels of performance for your WordPress website, and you're definitely going to get higher levels of support. So those are the two main things you're going to get out of managed WordPress hosting. So there's two flavors of it, okay? One of them's more recent than the other. So most of these managed WordPress hosting companies, to eke out the maximum performance for their customers, they created their own custom control panels that you would do everything in. You would install WordPress, you would do everything in these custom control panels that they created. However, the shared hosting companies caught on, hey, here's a market here that we can tap into. There's demand for this. People want this type of thing. Let's use the same control panel that we've been traditionally using, and let's make a more affordable version of managed WordPress hosting. So these hosts are your typical hosts, but they have these new optimized environments, and they're using cPanel. So these type of managed WordPress hosting companies are using cPanel, and it tends to be more affordable than the managed WordPress hosting providers that have their own custom control panel, which is the other type of flavor. So you're going to usually on the cPanel based ones, you're going to average between $5 and $10 per site per month. And for the managed ones that have their own custom control panel, you're going to pay about 3 times that, or about $30 a month is where it usually starts. So even when you're on my hosting page dedicated to hosting on my website, WPCrafter.com/hosting, just click on hosting in the menu, and you go down there and you see the different managed WordPress hosting companies that I'm recommending there, and listing out the prices and everything, and giving you speed tests and monitoring uptime and all of that. I have these separated by the cPanel based managed hosting companies and the ones that have their own control panel. Okay, now here's some consideration real quick that I want to get out there. The managed WordPress hosting providers that are based on cPanel include email hosting, which you would just expect if you're bumping up from shared hosting. Now, the ones that have their custom control panel, they typically do not provide email hosting for you. So in those cases, in those situations, you would probably use Google Apps or some other type of email hosting company to host your email accounts. And this is actually a really good thing if you're a developer and you're hosting websites for your clients. What's nice is if there's a problem with the email, they're not going to come to you. They're going to go to whoever the hosting company is for the email, and that's one less problem for you to have to deal with. Plus, email takes up resources and it takes up storage and all of that. So this is going to kind of help you to decide which flavor of managed WordPress hosting interests you the most, whether you want emails there or not. Okay, so I like to talk about pricing discounts, and you usually see this mostly in shared hosting. Now, with managed WordPress hosting, the companies that have their own custom control panel, they typically don't have discounts on their services. But the providers that are cPanel based, they usually have a sign-up discount. So one of them is as much as 70% off. So when you order your service, you choose how long you want to prepay, whether it's a month, a year, 3 years. You pay 70% off, but then what happens is when that renewal comes up, you're paying full price. So just know what the normal price is for the hosting account that you choose, but it's good to be aware of these pricing discounts, just so you're not shocked when that new bill comes. Okay, let's talk about some of the drawbacks. So we already talked about the email issue. And there's a few other issues with managed WordPress hosting. So first of all, there's this concept of metered hosting. If you're coming from a shared web hosting environment, you know, they said it's unlimited everything. It's not that way with managed WordPress hosting. You're usually paying per site, so you can't have 2 sites. And there's a limitation on how much traffic in a month that you could get on your website. It's not usually a hard limit on the providers that are cPanel based, but they will put a limit there or a suggestion. It's usually not a hard limit. One of them, and I'll point them out in this video, it is kind of a hard limit, but it's more generous than what they list. But the managed WordPress providers that have their custom control panel, and I'm going to point those ones out, those are hard limits. So if you get traffic over and above what your plan includes, there's going to be a fee for each additional 1,000 visitors to your website. So that's definitely something that you want to be aware of. It's a little more expensive. Now, when it's the cPanel based one, it's not that much more expensive. It's definitely worth it if you're considering shared hosting, but it can get very expensive if you have a high trafficked website. Now, I don't usually like to complain about hosting fees because if you're going to spend money on anything, you want it to be hosting. If you have a serious website where people are there to maybe spend money or to learn more about you or your business, it's worth it to have the best optimal experience for them, in my mind. So I don't mind that additional extra fee, but you have to know that going into it, that managed WordPress hosting is just going to cost you more. It's going to be more stable. You're going to get better support and more knowledgeable and experienced support. So it just matters to you on what your priorities happen to be. Also, there's this cost per site. So there's no real unlimited where you can install as many websites as you want. Well, there's some of that, but there are other limits to kind of make it so you can't really go all out and host 100 websites. Not that you'd want to do something like that. Okay, let's talk about some alternatives. So usually you would be on shared hosting and then you'd bump up to managed WordPress hosting when you want more performance and you want to be a little bit more hands-off when it comes to managing your WordPress website. That's where the manage comes in. There's also alternatives if you want to leapfrog up. I'll have a video comparing managed cloud hosts. So you can get these cloud servers and they're managed. That happens to be the kind of hosting that I'm using right now. So that's an alternative. But even with that, you don't get the high level of support. You do get the high level of performance, but not so much the expert support. Okay, so I like to talk about the 4 S's of hosting. So I'm going to talk about how these apply to managed WordPress hosting. The first one is speed. You're going to get so much stability and speed from managed WordPress hosting. I mean, it's going to be as good as it gets in a managed WordPress hosting environment. Security, they're all going to offer you a free SSL certificate. Most of them, if there's ever, say, a plugin that's outdated, gets hacked into, and now you have malware on your website, most of these companies are going to go in and clear that out for you. There's one in the list that won't do that for you, and I'll point them out. But most of these companies are going to do that for you. And most of these companies, they're going to take proactive security measures to make sure your site is safe if it's under attack. And support. you're going to get phenomenal levels of support typically with managed WordPress hosting. So a support experience like this, if you ever needed support and you find yourself having to go through elaborate explanations because the person you're trying to get support from just does not get it, well, you're typically not going to have that problem with managed WordPress hosting. You'll be able to, in a sentence, say what's wrong, and they're just going to get it and be able to run with it for you. Now, every company, every support desk is susceptible to the person you're talking to having a bad day and maybe not being as helpful, but predominantly you're going to get really good support. I will say a lot of these, on this support topic, some of these companies have had kind of growth spurts in their business, and what happens when a company starts doing really well, they usually don't have the support to keep up with it, and then the support quality goes down until it can catch up. And one of the companies that I'm going to talk about, I personally experienced that with. And then specialty, one of the nice things about specialty is specific features for WordPress users. You're going to get those with this type of hosting. One of the things that's almost standard is staging. What staging is simple. If there's an update for your website that you need to do, or you want to test something, you don't have to do it on the live site. You'll click a button, they'll create a copy of your website that you can go and do that change to and see how it is. And this won't affect the live site, and then you can push a button and push those changes to the live site if you like how that went. These companies are going to give you staging, which is a big deal. A lot of them already are going to have caching solutions in place. So that's where the speed and the stability comes in, because they're doing the caching for you versus you having to waste hours getting some free caching plugin, installing it on your website, and spending all kinds of time and having it cause all kinds of problems. You get to skip all of that with one of these managed WordPress hosting companies. And lastly, many of these companies will provide a free CDN. That stands for Content Delivery Network. Now, that's not a really big expense. It's really actually easy to implement yourself, but it's nice that they do that to further increase the speed of your website. The ones with the cPanel typically don't do that because it's an additional expense, but I created a video about 2 months ago about how you can add a CDN. You can add free Cloudflare, or you can add, I think it's a Bunny CDN. I have a whole video on it. It's super easy to implement. Okay, so let me try to give you some advice, and then we're going to look at some of the companies that I recommend and just look a little deeper at them. Endorsement warning. What happens is these hosting companies are catering to WordPress users. So when they're hiring people, they hire people from the WordPress user and developer community. So sometimes what you have happening is people say, oh, this is the best managed WordPress hosting provider, but it's really because their buddy works there. And you see that a lot. A buddy will work there, and then he'll call all his developer friends and say, hey, why don't you switch over to here? Whatever, I don't know what the backroom thing goes, but then they will release an article, and they're just doing it because it's their friend. That's okay if they disclose it, of course. So you have a lot of that going on, but I'll just tell you right now, there's going to be little differences between a lot of these companies. So it's, maybe you move and you shaved off the split of a split second. So it's not going to be that much of a difference. Okay, let me talk about who managed WordPress hosting is best for. So I think actually, if you're going to have a WordPress website, this is kind of the sweet spot. Really, the cPanel managed WordPress hosting is really that sweet spot. But if you are, say, an agency and you're hosting websites for people, you want to be selling websites and making websites. You don't want to be managing and maintaining them as much. So managed WordPress hosting is perfect for you because you don't have to spend your time on that side of the business, and no one wants their website to go down, or worse, if you have a client and their website goes down and they're calling you, you never want to be dealing with that. So because of that, you see a lot of agencies that have no problem paying a little bit more for better hosting because they know there's going to be no headaches involved, and then they just pass that additional cost onto their customer. But not just that, if you have a more demanding website or a more important website, managed WordPress hosting is really where you want to have your website hosted. So this would be e-commerce, of course. This would be if you're creating an online course website. Now, if it's it's a little brochure website. Some of the cPanel based managed WordPress hosting is a lot more affordable. It wouldn't be bad. Or you could put those on shared hosting depending on the amount of traffic. But if you have a couple extra bucks to spend per month, definitely at the very least get on the cPanel based managed WordPress hosting. Okay, so let me go over my top 3 picks for managed WordPress hosting, cPanel and the custom panel. So we're going to go over 6 of the companies that are widely recognized as the best, and I have experience with most of these companies. Now I have this page on my website right here, WPCrafter.com/hosting. I'll have a link in the video description box down below. One of the neat things is when you scroll down right here, this box, I'll probably change it at some point. When you click on it, you're going to see uptime monitors for all of these web hosts, and you'll be able to drill down in and see what the response time is on their servers. So it's as transparent as possible. I try to make it as transparent as possible for you, and I make that there. It costs me a lot of money to maintain this because I have to maintain services with all of these hosting companies. But you can come here and click right here where it says Manage WordPress Hosting, and here is a lot of the info from this presentation, and you can see the companies that I'm recommending right now in this category. And so I keep this updated, and I'm always trying to work out some special pricing for WP Crafter subscribers. And if you click here, many of them, I offer a free training bonus where I include $500 of my training programs. I give you access when you sign up. And that's just to make it easier for you to get your WordPress website up and running faster. So all those details will be right here on this page. Okay, so the first one, you might not have realized, SiteGround is really managed WordPress hosting. A lot of people confuse it with shared hosting, but it's really managed WordPress hosting when you look at it. And so when we look at their pricing right here, you can see it meets all the criteria. They have all of these specific WordPress features. It's super fast and stable. They have fantastic support, and they have that metered hosting. So remember I said that you have the limit on monthly visitors? Well, SiteGround has that, and you can see it listed right here. So you can see typically for the cPanel based providers, you're going to get a price that's discounted. So with SiteGround, they take 70% off. So when you come up for renewal, just make sure you know what the regular price is going in. Now remember when I was talking about security, I said there's some of these companies will not clean malware out for you. SiteGround is that company. So if whatever happens, you get some kind of malware or whatever in your website, they're not going to clean it out for you. You're going to be on your own, and it's typically about $200 to find someone, maybe $100 to clean it out for you. But the worst problem is it can come back. But I'll tell you, SiteGround, you don't even have to ask me. You could just ask around. What is a great web hosting? Can you make a recommendation? I guarantee you 7 or 8 out of 10 people are probably going, depending on where you're asking, but 7 out of 10 people are probably going to say SiteGround, and it's well deserved. They have really good support, and they have really stable and good hosting. So that's SiteGround. The next is InMotion Hosting. Now they recently released this about a year and a half ago, and it's very affordable. So you can get a single site right here for $4.99 per month. That's a 37% discount. So just know the normal price is $7.99 per month. That's a single website right there with 20,000 monthly visitors. That's a soft cap, so they're not really giving you a hard cap. SiteGround was the one that had the more hard limitations. And here you can see, just choose a plan based upon the amount of websites you want hosting for, and you can see the amount of suitable monthly visitors increases on the various plans that you could choose here. This is also cPanel based, so you'll be right at home if you're comfortable with cPanel. They include server caching, so you don't have to worry about that as well. And they also have a staging solution. The next one is going to be A2 hosting. This is a really interesting one. It's based on a control panel called Plex. I've been testing this. It's very stable, and I like what they're doing with this. And the pricing for a single site, well, they're not doing the metered bit, so they're not going to say suitable for this, that, and the other. You just have a hosting account. So a single site is $12.97. Now, what's nice is they also have this unlimited package, so you could host an unlimited amount of websites, $37.97 right there. The next one is, okay, so these were the three ones that are based on cPanel. Of course, this one's Plex. Now, the next three companies have their own custom control panel. They do not include email hosting. The first one is Kintz. Kintz is really good. They probably have the most slick control panel out of all of them. Their support is phenomenal. They'll just have like a little live chat in there for you. You can tap on that. When I've asked them for support, and it's usually just a general question, someone is responding to me that is understanding what I'm saying, and they're usually responding within a minute or 2 minutes. They're using Intercom. Well, they're currently using Intercom for the live chat for that support. I thought it was pretty fabulous. Let's take a look at their plans really quick. So this is that fully managed. So like I was saying, they started about $30 per month for a single site, and there it is, 20,000 visits. They are fantastic. You can see right here, they're also including the content delivery network, which is something that you're going to probably see in all three of these next companies. These guys are really, really good. If you were to ask around and say, what are some of the best managed WordPress hosting companies, Kintz is going to probably be on the very top of that list. Next, let's take a look at WP Engine. These were one of the first companies to this managed WordPress hosting provider. Remember, I was saying earlier, sometimes these companies can have periods of amazing growth and then their support starts to really suck, but then they can catch up with the support. That was WP Engine. So I had WP Engine in 2013, and I got to tell you, it sucked because they were going through a growth spurt. Their support was horrible, fighting tooth and nail to get adequate support. But you know what? I mean, they owned up to it publicly that they were going through a growth spurt and they just needed time to catch up in the support department. But you know what? They delivered and they have recovered from that. And so their support has become really good again. And I think they're more stable. I like their network. They've done a lot to make improvements to their infrastructure and their network. And so here's their plan. So their lowest plan for a single site is $35 a month. So it's like that $35 amount. And right here, this is 25,000 visitors. That is hardcore cap. So if you're going to go over that 25,000, you are going to be paying. And they also have a cap here on bandwidth for your site. But what's nice, and probably reason a lot of agencies are using WP Engine is right here. So this scale plan right here, you can see it's $290 per month, but that's to host 15 websites. So if you have 15 clients on sort of a maintenance plan, it doesn't end up costing you that much per site. And you can see it gets about 400,000 visits amongst the 15 sites. So it's not a bad deal. And with one of these companies like Kintz, right here in the next one I'm going to show you, you don't have to worry about a thing. If something's wrong, you just tell their support and then they just handle it. So it's really how much you value your time, and the speed of the service is just going to all be top notch. Okay, so and the last one is Flywheel. Flywheel is probably the least exciting company out of these ones, but they're in kind of, you know, I don't want to say too much about it, but they have a new infrastructure that they're releasing soon that is actually very exciting. So if you go to their website right now, you're going to see right here, Flywheel plus Google Cloud. So they're moving to a whole new infrastructure, and it's going to be based upon Google Cloud, and you can find out about it right here. And I think they might be releasing new pricing related to it, but there's some really neat stuff. I'm going to have to wait till it's actually fully launched and I can test it to do a full review, which I'm looking forward to. But this is interesting. Auto healing technology. This is some exciting stuff. So it can sense when there's a problem and fix it proactively for you. And check this out, Fly Cache. This is interesting. I've always complained about caching in general, that it's not taking into consideration exactly what someone's using on their website. I doubt they listened to my video, but they're actually doing what I was complaining about. They're solving the problem that I was complaining about. It says our new caching technology, Fly Cache, takes into account the most popular WordPress themes and plugins, page builders. I can guarantee you they are taking that into consideration to make sure your pages are cached or not cached correctly with no work from you. I like that last line, no work from you, because if I'm going to pay you this amount, I don't want to put any work in. I want you to do it. I'm paying so that your system can do it for me. If this delivers, this might be one of the top hosting providers if it can intelligently know what you're using on your WordPress website and modify itself accordingly. So let's see, I don't know if they have pricing on this page, but let me get up to the pricing because I do think it's important. Now they've adjusted their pricing a few times as well. All right, so let's see here. So they have a baby plan. You definitely don't even want to consider this. And the reason is because it only includes 5,000 monthly visitors. You don't want to do that. So this is more along the lines, $28 per month. And but that's billed annually, so it's not monthly. Right here, 25,000 visitors per month, so they're more affordably priced. Now, when they release this new Google Cloud network, and if it delivers on those features that they say, this might be one to seriously check out. So all these companies that I've talked about, all of these companies here, you can expect me to be doing a full review on all of them, each individually. And it's not so much to say, oh, I've been using them for 5 years and look how it all went. That's hard to do. It's going to be more, hey, check out the control panel, all these things that you're able to do with this hosting company, and this is why you might want to consider it. So that type of review is coming for all of these companies so that you can see what it is before committing to it yourself. So I hope during this video that you got to see what managed WordPress hosting is, why you'd want it, or maybe why you wouldn't want it. This is a video in an 8-part video series taking a look at the 8 different types of web hosting. I'll have links to all the videos in the video description box down below. I'll also have links to the various hosting companies that I've talked about in this video. And I definitely want to encourage you to jump on over to my website and check out this performance monitor here to see how the host that you're looking at is performing over time currently, and check out the bonuses that I might have available for a hosting company that you might be interested in. So if you have any questions about managed WordPress hosting or managed WordPress hosting providers, you can ask me in the comment section down below. I'll be very happy to answer any question that you may have. Hey, if you've enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, and remember to click on the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. If you know someone that is not sure what hosting to choose or is asking some kind of question of, this compared to that, feel free to share this video with them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it, and I'll appreciate it too. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.